everyone, welcome back to another RunDisney costume video. Today we're going to talk about the 10K. So for the 10K I was completely blank. I do have an entire list of RunDisney costume ideas, but I just couldn't think of something original for this 10K that would fit in the sidekicks and villain theme. My boyfriend, on the other hand, he wanted to create an Incrediboy costume because he was someone who wanted to be a sidekick but turned into a villain. It was a genius idea, but he didn't have the time to work on it, and I didn't want his idea to go to waste, so I decided to make this costume behind his back as a surprise. As this was about 1 week before the run, I decided, why don't I become the sidekick of Incrediboy? And that's how I became the fictional Elastigal pal, for that matter. If Mr. Incredible had a fan club, Elastigirl probably did too. I started with the easy part, which was the logo. As my costume would be a variation of Elastigirl's suit, I was considering having a different color scheme, but I still thought the black and white logo was still the best choice. Simply made it with felt and textile glue. This costume is kinda like the one I did for last year's 5K, lots of layers, and only had myself to test it on. I cut up a large red shirt and I used the bottom part for the skirts. I already had red socks that fit the costume. The rest of the red shirt was not supposed to be used, but I ended up using the sleeves as actual sleeves, as the ones I already had were not the right colors. The first fit was pretty complete already, so I only had to make adjustments. I ended up doing the hairband 3 times as I was not satisfied with the size or color. I made it using fabric from the red shirt to wrap it around the hairband, which I then wrapped with thread. Making the sleeves were easy as usual. I usually make these kind of sleeves with socks, but I must say that making sleeves out of shirt sleeves look really nice and are very comfortable as well. For the skirt, I added an elastic band on top to gather the fabric. The white skirt also got an elastic band addition, as the skirt got really big on me. The same weekend I was pretty much done with this costume. Almost everything was made from stuff and skills that I already had. It's not really special, but for me it was very relieving that I managed to have something to wear for the 10K race. And I made a mask as a decoration piece, but it would not be worn during the race. The Incrediboy costume, on the other hand, was something I was very proud of. It had many steps that were the same, like making the logo and sleeves. I got another white shirt, and from a light blue shirt I made the socks / leg warmers. As elastic hairbands were needed to keep them up, it was optional for my boyfriend to wear them. While I don't mind the most uncomfortable running costumes, this was the first time I made a costume for someone else, so I really wanted him to be comfortable running in this. From the same light blue shirt, I cut up the bottom part to use as the blue part. I could have painted it, but I knew it would look and feel terrible, so this was the perfect alternative. This maxi dress that I found had the perfect color and was very flowy for the cape, so I cut up some parts and measured the length. The straps were perfect to give the knotted tie look, so I left it on the cape. And from this same fabric I made sleeves as well to represent the gloves. Back to the light blue color block, I only sew the sides to make sure the fabric's elastics still work. To keep the top up though, I used fabric glue to keep it on the right spot. I really don't understand how I painted almost an entire costume last year, because painting the sleeves black this year was really painful to do. Luckily it was easily done, and I only needed to cut the sleeves a little bit afterwards. As a final detail, I put on Velcro between the cape and the shoulders to keep the weight of the cape mainly on the shoulders instead of the neck. It also looks much better, as you can see the cape flow on the back. And those were the costumes. So I don't have video footage of how the costumes look like in the final version, but I do have a lot of photos that you see left and right popping up. I found my costume to be almost too simple, but since this was a week before the race, I was glad to be just wearing a costume, even though it was a very simple one. My boyfriend, on the other hand, he looked fantastic in the costume. He provided the shorts and shoes himself, and he ended up having no problems at all with the socks either. After we were done with the 10K, he also decided to use this costume for the half marathon, which really made me glad, and I'm happy that he found it to be very comfortable and that it looked great. So here's the 10K medal, and again, I really love the route they take for the 10K, because with that distance you just go through the two parks and you see the sunrise, which is probably one of my favorite views in a Disney park. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Next up will be the big castle that you see behind me, but I might post a video in between, so you'll see the castle coming, you see videos coming. Thanks for watching. If you want to see my 5K costume, you can click on this side, and on this side for now is just a pretty picture of my costume for the 21K.